of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Opposition parliamentarians in Cameroon have criticized what they call late presentation of government's 2019 socio-economic plan. We shall be getting the reaction of some opposition MPs in this edition of the news. Also ahead, 9 students and a teacher kidnapped in a private school in Kumba, Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon have been released. We shall be coming back to the circumstances that led to their release in this newscast. Plus, a pioneer registrar of the General Certificate of Education Board tells us in this edition of the news why restructuring the lone Anglo-Saxon examination board in Cameroon was a mistake on the part of the government. Mr. Azongwara Andrew granted an exclusive interview that was to Equinoxe television. We shall be telling you more in just a moment. Stay with us. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Let's begin right away in Yaoundé, where parliamentarians of the opposition have so far condemned what they consider as government strategy to hinder a proper examination of the 2019 socio-economic plan of action of the government. According to them, this is what explains the late presentation of the plan of the Prime Minister head of government was today at the National Assembly. Babla Jonathan tells us more in this report.
Opposition members of Cameroon's parliament decry the late presentation of government's 2019 socio-economic vision to the people's representatives.
The government's presentation is coming much too late because the new law emphasizes that the budget of the state should be presented 15 days before the budgetary session, which started on the 2nd of November. So you can see for yourselves that we are more than a month late.
According to Honorable O.C. Joshua, the delay is a well-calculated act to hinder the proper examination of government's plan of action.
This is intentionally done this way so that the representatives of the Cameroonian people will not have enough time to scrutinize that budget and to make sure that what comes out of this budget and how the money is used is in the best interest of the Cameroonian people. So it is rather unfortunate, but we are used to this, and I think this government just once again for 2019 wants to play around with the money of Cameroonians.
Programme économique, financier, social et culturel que le gouvernement voudrait mettre en œuvre en 2019 s'inscrit dans une perspective de consolidation des acquis.
Prime Minister Philemon Yang told members of the country's lower house of parliament that the 2019 social and economic vision will lay emphasis on the consolidation of achievements and the mastery of stakes to maintain Cameroon on the 2035 emergence road.
Au rang de ces grands enjeux et défis, il y a notamment la maîtrise de contraintes sécuritaires à l'intérieur comme aux frontières.
He said priority will be given to security challenges within the national territory and at the borders, consolidation of peace, national unity and living together, the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations to be hosted by Cameroon, the 3-year emergency economic growth plan and the special 3-year youth plan.
Ainsi que l'exécution du plan triennal spécial jeunes, la préparation de prochaines élections législatives et municipales,
the upcoming municipal and legislative elections, acceleration of the decentralization process, infrastructural and energy supply projects under execution, development of the digital economy and industrialization, youth employment, among others, are also on government's list of preference for 2019.
And still in connection with the ongoing November session of Parliament taking place in Yaoundé, the budgetary allocation of the draft 2019 state budget has greatly been influenced by the current state of affairs in Cameroon, especially in the domain of security. Some ministries have seen their budgets double to attain the vision of President Paul Biya that is starting 2019. Details with Fomi Armstrong Sander.
The draft 2019 state budget presented by Prime Minister Philemon Yang shows a greater chunk dedicated to key ministries and sectors believed to have been inspired by President Paul Biya's inaugural speech. The Ministry of Secondary Education backs more than 393 billion francs CFA. Public Work goes home with 367 billion francs CFA. Security and Defense with 249 billion francs CFA. Basic Education with 229 billion francs CFA. Public Health with 207 billion francs CFA, while Water and Energy backs home an envelope of 202 billion francs CFA. A bulk of the budget dedicated to education and defense will be directed towards functioning like payment of salaries, whereas significant investment budget has been allocated to public works and housing and urban development for the completion of road infrastructure and housing projects to embellish major cities ahead of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. A closer look at the paper equally indicates that more than 175 billion francs CFA will be directed towards investment projects in public health, while 147 billion francs CFA will be reserved for investment projects in water resource and energy. President Paul Biya's promise to accelerate decentralization in his inaugural speech could be seen in the size of the state budget allocated to the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development. The ministry's budget has been moved from 11.1 billion francs CFA in 2008 to 45.7 billion francs CFA in the 2019 draft state budget. The General Delegation for National Security has also seen its budget swelling from 1.5 billion francs CFA in 2018 to 28.4 billion francs CFA in 2019, believed to have been motivated by the security challenges in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Generally, the 2019 draft state budget is centered on accelerating the decentralization process, providing health care to Cameroonians, giving them security, improving public works, giving low-cost houses to Cameroonians, giving education as well as energy to them. However, some lawmakers who reacted to the Prime Minister's presentation in Yaoundé today doubted how such projects will be realized in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions.
On the 22nd of October 2018, several changes were made in the Lone Anglo-Saxon Examination Board in Cameroun, that is, the GCE board. Amongst the sweeping changes enacted by the President of the Republic, in a decree, the board was transformed into a parastatal. It would now be headed by Director General and not a registrar as before. Teachers' trade unions would no longer be part of the of the board of directors. The news was not welcomed by all education stakeholders in Cameroun, especially those in the English subsystem of education, one of whom is the pioneer registrar of the GCE board in Cameroun, Mr. Azongwara Andrew, in an exclusive interview told Equinoxe television that the move was wrong by the government of Cameroun and total violation of one of the most outstanding educational laws in the country. Let's hear him in the following excerpt. He was speaking to Derek Jato in Boya.
In the Education Forum, when I was already registrar of the GCE board, and they came out with a law that was placed in Parliament in 1998 and debated and passed. That law states is 1998/004 of 14 April 1998. That law spells out two systems of education in Cameroun, and in fact it is the most important law of education in this nation. Any educational policy or program being spelled out for this country which neglects the provisions of that law cannot be accepted. The Vice Chancellor of the university is the academic authority over the board. By taking him off that board, the GCE board is now no longer the authentic board that we worked for. Parents have been taken off who represent the moral backing of the GCE board. Teachers have been taken off. The Catholic education authorities, Presbyterian, Baptist, Islamic, lay private education authorities have been completely taken off from the board. These were the people who protected the board, protected its integrity, and assured that the board worked according to its own specifications. That is the main problem which we have with the board. I don't really have any quarrel with people getting into higher positions, getting more remuneration for the work they are doing. In fact, if the work they are doing is good, they deserve to be adequately remunerated. But my problem is that the GCE board is not like a CDC, like Sonara, like ENIO, like any of those things. Those institutions generate their own income.
As we could see, that is the pioneer registrar of the GCE board, Mr. Azong Wara Andrew, speaking there exclusively to Equinoxe television. We, of course, will be getting him in our subsequent newscast. He will be telling us the circumstances that led to the creation of the lone Anglo-Saxon examination board in Cameroon, the GCE board. Now, Kumba is relatively calm after news of kidnapping of students of the Lord's Bilingual Secondary School left many in shock and consternation. The 10 captives have been released, according to authorities. The senior divisional officer for Meme Division addressed the press today to recount the circumstances which led to the kidnapping of the 9 students and a teacher of the said institution. He said that gunmen attacked the Lord's Bilingual Secondary School Tuesday, and that security forces succeeded to uncover the camp of the attackers and rescued the students and the teacher. But the curiosity is that only 3 students and the teacher were present before the press this morning. Mr. Ntundong Chamberlain explained that the other captives were taken home by the said teacher. We shall be getting him in the following excerpt. He was speaking to our reporter in Kumba, Do Bertrand. Take a listen.
Persons. That means 9 students and 1 teacher came and withdrew those persons from the school and took them to the unknown destination. At sent by security there to go and investigate. After that, we immediately start following them. The whole night, nobody slept because I instruct them to do their best to bring back safe all those students and our teacher. Yesterday, they deliver 3 students. They neutralize 2 assailants. They seize 5 guns and we burn down the camp. Also destroy after the destruction of 3 bikes which those boys used to use to come and disturb peace and security. They abandon the teacher and the students somewhere, running away because forces or law and order were behind them. And the teacher, who was there like the guidance, took the children to the various families. Now, nobody.
That is the senior divisional officer for Meme Division in the southwest region of Cameroon, who equally urged weapon holders in bushes to drop their arms, promising them government's total support. He said that the protection of civilians would continue to be his utmost priority. Let's hear him once again in the following excerpt.
Is this opportunity to highlight the high instruction from the head state, saying that they should surrender and resume new activities. The state is ready to welcome them. The state is ready to support them financially. Nobody can fight the state. It's not possible. They cannot come and challenge the SGO of Meme Division. It's not possible. I am here with my forces of law and order, working to secure my population.
Take you to the northwest region of Cameroon to talk about students of the University of Bamenda that have been launching or carrying out a social media campaign calling for peace and security in institutions, university milieu, and in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon in general. They have been launching the social media campaign for 3 days now. Samanji Gabriel tells us more in the following report.
Students of the University of Bamenda have taken on the cry for peace through the use of the social media. The messages directed to the president of Cameroon is for him to seek for lasting solutions to bring peace to their learning environment that is no longer conducive for them to learn. Messages like, "We, the students, demand to be heard. This is all about us and our future, not aging politicians. Consider our plight. We can't study, surrounded by guns. Demilitarize our learning environment. I want to go to school, but I don't want to die. Our right to education has been taken away by violence. Mr. President, there is need for better action. Let there be light in Cameroon. We students say call for national dialogue. Violence is destroying our education. Stop the killing. We have education. We need peace, but we cannot choose between school and life. Do we students still have a voice?" Many are now hoping that the cry of the students, who are the future developers of Cameroon, will be heard for a lasting solution to the Anglophone crisis.
That is Madnjikan Gabriel, the reporting. Now, a few days ago, we presented to you the future state of the town of Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon. Officials in charge of hygiene and sanitation attributed the situation to the current Anglophone crisis. David Maimo now present the current state of Limbe in the following report.
After Equinoxe TV reported on the dirty state of the city of Limbe some weeks back, the garbage disposal company Izakam has admitted its flaws but outlined some factors responsible for the untidy state of the city. In a chat with Izakam boss in Limbe, it has been revealed that ghost town, though for a day, has greatly affected the company.
We have many ghost towns, and these ghost towns bring us to not work again as usual. Our program has been disturbed. We have not been working on those days that there was trouble in the town.
More so, some of their plastic garbage containers have been destroyed in certain areas. Nonetheless, the past 2 weeks since Equinoxe TV reported on the precarious dirty situation in Limbe, Izakam has stepped up work with some trucks maintained, staffs working overtime.
I'm very happy to see that place are clean because here in Limbe, people are complaining that Izakam are not working. But as you can see, that's one of the even places, and look at the environment now, everywhere is clean, and now we can like have a rest and enjoy the environment.
Trying their best as compared to at first. Now we see that they are trying. If you go inside some quarters, you will really see that the places are clean.
However, the people of Limbe continue to call for the garbage disposal company to increase its effort.
To put more effort, so that at least we know, they say cleanliness is next to godliness. So if they can continue, all of us will be happy and will live fine. Yes, we'll breathe good air.
At least they should like put more effort so that the town can look more clear at least.
Izakam in Limbe must replace its broken trucks, increase staff strength, above all sign a new contract with the state to increase its tonnage of garbage collection if it must bring back Limbe to the state of the cleanest city in the country.
It is not only the business of Izakam and the Limbe City Council. No, the population themselves have to implicate, put their hand on deck for this town to be cleaner than what it is known to be today.
On to something else, we now talk about Paul Erikinge, the campaign manager of Professor Maurice Kamto, that has said that he's going to seek justice after his home was invaded by bandits. He pointed accusing fingers to security forces whom, according to him, stole expensive drinks and killed his security dogs and attempted to rape a young girl while he escaped, and he has been seeking refuge for close to 2 weeks now out of his home. Details with Innocent Aze.
He was away. Upon his return, his house has been invaded by unknown uniformed men. Paul Kinge, Professor Maurice Kamto's 2018 campaign manager, discovered doors of his home were battered and destroyed on Sunday, October 21st, 2018. The men burst into my compound on a Sunday without any administrative or judicial warrant. Even if the warrant existed, no warrant permits that someone's home be stormed on a Sunday, and worst of all, at 9 p.m. They shuttered my door, forced themselves in, then carried away 4 out of 8 professional cameras in my bedroom, whereas I am the one they came looking for. On their way out, they emptied my bar. Paul Kinge condemns the burglary, looting of his property, and physical attack on his dogs. My dogs started barking, knowing they had no possibility of entering. One of them, according to the information I got, threw poisonous food, which the dogs consumed and died the next day. There were 5 dogs that were not chained. After the act, they entered the house and met a young lady whom they attempted to rape. The young girl is still traumatized as I speak. My night watchman was brutalized.
Il a encore du bleu à l'œil.
Kamto's campaign manager has informed security services through a complaint over home burglary, destruction, attempted murder, death threats, assassination of security dogs, and many others. This situation occurred while I eloped from being arrested. I returned 3 weeks after and decided to, after 2 days, visit my residence.
Cette fois-là, ils me trouveront, donc j'ai pas à me cacher.
The complaint dropped at the General Delegation for National Security Friday, November 16 is under exploitation. Paul Kinge hopes the results end up positive with the culprits exposed.
Le délégué général à la sécurité nationale a essayé de mettre de l'ordre dans la police.
He wishes Martin Balgangele ensures the arrest of those he describes as police thieves.
C'est des gars qui méritent d'être extirpés de ce corps. Je reste convaincu que ces gars l'ont fait de leur propre zèle.
Paul Kinge has promised not to handle the matter with strong hands.
Le DGSN ne peut pas garder par devers lui une telle plainte qui est suffisamment grave.
And that brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. We shall be right back. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. In the course of this newscast, we talked about the sweeping changes in the GCE board that is equally been criticized by education stakeholders in Cameroon. We are being joined by an educationist from the northwest region of Cameroon and Cameroon in general, Dr. NGWANYAM, who is equally proprietor of St. Louis University Institute of Health and Biomedical Sciences. Doctor, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
We would be talking about the announced recruitment of some 2,000 PhD holders in state universities in Cameroon. But before that, we saw the reaction of the pioneer GCE board registrar, Dr. Mr. Azong Wara Andrew in Boya, talking about the fact that it was not a positive move on the part of the government restructuring the GCE board. What is your reaction as an educationist?
There is need to restructure always. There's always need to improve. You are restructuring with the intention of improving is always welcome, and we really need to be restructuring a lot of things in Cameroon, not just the GCE board. But what I have to say is that I have to make a general statement here. We might find time to elaborate on it.
Certainly.
Yes, the education in Cameroon is not the best. Whether it be Anglophone education as we see it, or Francophone education. You know, developed nations have gone past what we are doing, and therefore this argument about the GCE board and what has been done and what is that's not even that's not even where we should be at this material moment. What we should be doing is finding out nations like Finland, South Korea, that whose private sector is well developed because of their educational system. What are they teaching their kids? And that's what we need to be doing. so that we can generate, jobs for our children. With the kind of education we've had, you've seen that children leave universities or whatever and are riding Okada. There's no reason to go to a university
then
to ride
you're talking
Okada.
about educational reforms.
Yes.
But the GC board here has it has a cultural, it has a background, an Anglo-Saxon background.
Yes, there might be
which
an
has been tempered on according to some education stakeholders.
That's right. I'm saying there's an Anglophone, there's a cultural thing to it.
Certainly.
But if we go to Britain is not doing it like that. Okay. What I'm saying is that we have gone past that level, and what we should be doing is, besides, we might feel hurt that what we put in place, we took so much energy and blood to put in place, has just been wiped away. But what I'm saying is that what we need to do in this country is to sit down and correct the educational system. What do I mean? There is one school in Cameroon that is an example that we ought to follow. There is a lycée polyvalent Kumasi. That's it. We need to come back to the concept of comprehensive colleges. This issue of grammar colleges and technical colleges and so on is not working. We need to come to a place where we bring all the best practices together and craft a school system that actually comes up with children who understand things and know how to do things and can solve problems. That's the way we need to go. You can ask yourself the question. For the past 30 years, we've been having children graduating from Sacred Heart, CPC Bali, all these schools with 25 points, 20 points. Where are they? When we actually say that education is the basis for development, when we go to the Northwest and Southwest, we want to see that development on the ground. It's not there. So something is wrong with our education.
When I look at your argument, I'm thinking about a proposal which seems to be talking about the harmonization of the educational system in Cameroon. Am I right, Doctor?
Yes, it is harmonization, but the way the people have been thinking of harmonization is wrong. Harmonization doesn't mean that you just take what is Anglophone and Francophone and fuse it together and call it No, it's about abandoning what we have been doing as Anglophones. Abandon what we've been doing as Francophones. Go to countries that have made it. Go to Finland. Go to South Korea. Get their own curricula, the best practices, the way they do it, and then just come and translate into English and French and give us.
So to you, globally, the educational system in Cameroon is not the best.
It's not the best. It's not the other Anglophones. So stop arguing about your Anglophone thing and Francophone. Is not just good.
Certainly. Thank you, Doctor. Now, the announced recruitment of some 2,000 PhD holders in state universities in Cameroon. How did you receive this news, which is coming at the time when there was need for more teachers to be recruited in universities across the national territory?
That's right. We need teachers in our state universities. There's no question, okay? But, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also a surgeon. When a surgeon wants to work, he makes a good diagnosis and then he goes right ahead and then cuts out the disease and throws it away. So we need to actually make a proper diagnosis of our universities. Yes, we need teachers, there's no question. The question is, what kind of teachers? For what end? It's not just about recruiting 2,000 teachers, I don't know of what. But we need to actually redefine our educational policies and whatever we are doing, even at the university level. What are we training the children for? Which faculties do we need? The faculties that we have now all over the whole place, do we really need those? Are we training children who can solve problems, or we are creating but more problems?
As an educationist,
yes,
the recruitment of 2,000 PhD holders in state institutions in Cameroon, universities, is that what our universities in Cameroon need today?
No. You even need 2,000 or 4,000, but they should be of STEM extraction, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they should be able to teach and train our children to fit into industry and make things happen. When you just train people and just give them certificates and I don't know what, and they cannot solve problems, that is the problem. And that's what we've been doing for 60 years, and that cycle must break.
Tell us about some of the problems, the pertinent problems plaguing universities, lecturers in Cameroon today. We have the issues of some of the issues raised by teachers with regards to research allowances that has always been an annual problem as far as lecturers are concerned.
Yeah, there are lots of problems, lots of strikes, but I'm saying we have to redefine the whole thing again. The teachers actually need, allowances for research. Their living conditions and working conditions have to be improved. I've seen some amphitheaters with no sound systems. I know, the laboratories are ill-equipped and all these things. So their working conditions are not the best. But that is not the starting point. The starting point is for us to define what we want. Okay? It's not about having 1,001 faculties. It's about having 50 faculties, 20 faculties, or whatever they are that we need, so that when we train our children and put in the resources, we'll come out with the best products, who will be creating jobs and not seeking for jobs. So we need to train children who create jobs.
If you were to give some proposals, concrete proposals, to stakeholders, education stakeholders in Cameroon and the government of the country? What would be this proposal?
What I would do, for instance, let's even when we talk about a PhD, let's define a couple of things. You know, if you are a PhD, if you have a PhD in physics in Cameroon, the question is, do you have the knowledge and capacities of someone who has a PhD in South Korea and Finland? That's where we start. If you are going to have a PhD, which is a PhD a la Cameroonese, which is not standardized, that's already a problem. So that's where we begin. When we are talking of PhDs and whatever, those PhDs must match international standards. Once they match international standards, then we go to the next level. You have that PhD in what field? What can you do? You know, you have to be able to transmit knowledge. I understand that, you know, in a setting, you have to have someone who has a PhD in this area, PhDs in this area. Then the student whom you are teaching over here gets a little from there, gets a little from over there, and then crafts his own thing and becomes functional. So it's about training those children, who are actually useful and functional. Because up until now, we have not been doing that. So we need to go and actually redefine those PhDs and those faculties. And before we start recruiting, I would encourage the government to first go out there, you know, ask all the professors and doctors in all faculties and departments in all our universities, all those faculties, they should sit down and come up with a document and write out a composition to explain to the Cameroonians, to the government, what use their faculty is. When their products come, what use are there to the nation? How can the children employ themselves? And the teachers, you ask them the other question, you as the teacher of the thing, what else could you have done with your PhD or with your master's if you were not employed to teach? When they have answered those questions in the affirmative and shown us why it is necessary for us to maintain their departments, and they can prove that the products that left their departments are gainfully employed, then we can employ more teachers in those departments. But if they cannot answer those questions, those departments should be shut down.
We listen to you, we see that it should be the priority of the government.
Yes.
Whereas the state budget is under deliberation at the National Assembly, but we see that the government is more focused on the state of affairs in Cameroon, which is security.
Yes.
What would you tell the government and the parliament that is now deliberating on the state budget for the year 2019?
Yeah, we have had budgets that have come and gone.
With regards to education?
Yes, we have had budgets that have come and gone. But have the budgets really been well executed? Have they been well put to good use? You know, if you do a real scientific study, you see that most of the money is wasted, most of it is stolen, most of it is recycled, and so on. So is the money that we have in Cameroon, if it were given to some other people, you would get more out of the money, value for money. So we need to actually do this kind of study so that we put money where it's necessary, follow it up to the letter, and make sure that it yields fruits. A lot of people, like they're doing the budget now, a lot of people are just sitting around and trying to figure out, oh, how much money was added to my budget? How much am I going to steal? So we need to work on that and then get it straight.
Thank you so much, Dr. NGWANYAM, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again. Of course, you will be guest on the Inside this week.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for joining us.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you.
That is Dr. NGWANYAM, and education is there joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. We thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.